Hello everyone, this is Jack Hassamun. Today I'll be talking about workplace safety. First, we will talk about the obvious slogan, safety first. Why is it important? Then we talk about 7 common workplace hazards. How do we classify safety seriousness level? What do we do to prevent accidents in workplaces? How do companies identify risk in the workplace and set up preventive measures against those risks? First thing to know, employer must be held responsible for any accidents or injury that took place at work site or while employee performing work. Even though operator may have done something wrong, but it is employer's responsibility to stop the dangerous act. When accidents or injury took place, employer will likely have to pay for all damages. And last but not least, an accident in workplace will make employees feel sorry for their colleagues. It disrupts the work. So each company must try to identify potential hazards in their workplace. They apply Murphy's Law, which says whatever can go wrong will go wrong. If we do something risky every day, and we never have an accident doing it for the past 10 years, it doesn't mean accident will never happen. We must avoid risky activities or improve those risky activities so that they are no longer risky. We can search for risky activities systematically. We'll talk about this later. For now, let us look at the most obvious and popular risky activities. There are 7 of them. Number 1, working at height. Anyone who works at least 2 meters above the ground must have fall protection such as sling. Workplace must be well organized so as to avoid simple accidents, such as slippery floor, tripping. Fire exit location and space around fire extinguisher must be clear and can be accessed at all times. When we search for potential hazards, we must keep Murphy's Law in mind. Electrical cords and electrical saws must be kept in good condition. Only personnel with proper PPE are allowed to work with electricity. Forklift and lifting devices are often used in factories and warehouses. They can cause accidents if they are not handled properly. Forklift driver must be trained and pass the test to obtain a permit to drive. Lockout-tagout is a system to prevent people from starting a machine or equipment while someone is doing maintenance work on the machine. Such a device works as a lock to prevent people from turning on the switch, and it also serves as a tag identifying who is servicing the machine. The lockout-tagout owner has the key to unlock the lockout-tagout. All the chemicals used in workplace must have clear warning signs. Personnel who work with those chemicals must wear proper PPE. Some works may be done in confined spaces. We must pay special attention to ventilation and methodology to get the worker out of the confined space quickly in case something goes wrong. Accidents or safety issues can be classified according to seriousness level. Some accidents result in the injured personnel unable to work for the next 24 hours, no matter he or she is scheduled to work. This is called lost time accidents. It is the most serious accidents. Companies must report these accidents to the Occupational Health and Safety Administration within 24 hours after it happens. The second level is non-lost time accidents, which results in work-related injury that requires medical treatment beyond first aid, and the injured personnel able to work during the following 24 hours. Beyond first aid means injured personnel had to be sent to a clinic or hospital. The third level, first aid, is the accident that leads to work-related injury that requires first aid, and the injured personnel able to work during the following 24 hours. The next 2 levels are not accidents. No personnel are injured just yet. They are called safety incidents. The fourth level is called near miss. Near miss is an incident or event which had potential to become an accident. For example, a worker walked in a warehouse. He was almost hit by a forklift. No accident has happened. We call this a near miss incident. The fifth level is unsafe act. or unsafe conditions, which have potential to lead to an accident, near miss, or health impairments. These levels 4 and 5 are important. Most companies ask employees to report these incidents so that they can improve those work conditions. By preventing levels 4 and 5 incidents from happening, the chance of accidents will be reduced. Most companies use the following three principles to prevent accidents in their workplace. First, they must identify root causes and then implement preventive countermeasures. This is to prevent past accidents to reoccur. They provide activities to remind their employees constantly to think about safety. This could be in the form of morning talk or safety talk. They also need to implement systematic risk assessment to identify potential risk. This can be done by number one, list all activities or tasks that employees in that area have to perform. The list must be exhaustive, both in terms of routine and non-routine activities, and it also must consider variations due to time and operators. All activities and potential hazards must be listed exhaustively in the table. Here is an example of the task painting the building. The painter has to perform various tasks. Here is an example. The activity could be bring paint tools up to the work location, and the hazards, potential hazards could be fall off the scaffold. For each pair of activity and potential hazard, we can evaluate this risk based on frequency of the activity performed, probability of the potential hazards, and seriousness of the potential hazards. We use numbers to represent levels for frequency, probability, and seriousness. Low numbers for low probability or low seriousness. High number for high probability and high seriousness. Then we can calculate the risk by multiplying frequency by probability and by seriousness. This is an example of how we evaluate frequency. Here we classify frequency into 5 levels. Say level 1 if the activity is performed once a month or less. Level 3 is when the activity is performed every few days. And level 5 when the activity is performed more than once per day. Bring paint tools up to the work location is performed every day. So the activity receives a frequency level of 4. You can check the remaining frequency of other activities yourself. For the probability of potential hazard, we can consider past records. Here we can classify probability into 3 levels. We can determine probability for each potential hazard in each activity. For example, when a painter brings the paint tools up to the work location, he may fall off the scaffold. If nobody has ever fallen off the scaffold before, we assign the probability rating for this incident to be 1. For each potential hazard, we evaluate how serious it is if the accident happens. If a painter falls off the scaffold, he will need to go for medical treatment, so we assign seriousness level 4 for this potential hazard. For each pair of activity and potential hazard, we can calculate risk score. If the risk score is high, we may consider some improvement. The improvement may focus on reducing frequency of the activity, probability or seriousness of the potential hazards. For example, in activity 3, when a painter applies the paint may drop on the floor. This leads to damages on the floor. We may reduce seriousness by putting papers underneath scaffold. This will reduce seriousness from 2 to 1. The fourth activity, the painter may fall off scaffold when he moves paint tools around scaffold. We may decide to reduce seriousness by using scaffold sling. This will reduce seriousness from 5 to 3. Well, this is about all we have for safety. If you have any questions regarding this lecture, please feel free to ask in a Google Classroom or ask me in class. Okay, thank you and have a good weekend. Bye.